Hi, Nasir from Nairobi, East Africa. Awesome. Am a medicinal chemist, PhD student eyeing a job in the developed world. What will sell me as an African scientist? Honestly, not to be funny, but the fact that you are an African scientist in and of itself brings expertise that otherwise is not available from people who have not dealt with the issues that you have in your homeland. And so I always try to tell people everything that you have been through. I had several coaching sessions in the last 10 days, but 3 of the individuals, 2 women and a man, had these varied backgrounds. I don't know if they're here on this session, but had these varied backgrounds. And what I tried to explain to them, just like I would say to you, Nasir, is when you look at what you've done in your career, you automatically need to be thinking about how to tell your story in a positive light. So when you interview and you want to set yourself apart, the fact that you have not worked in this developed location or that developed location as much so is not a detriment. It's about bringing what you've seen to help people in the developed cities, towns, whatever it is, areas, regions, expand their knowledge. So the things that you do all have assets. It's the story you share and the way you control that story or control that narrative about how whoever it is interviewing you can benefit from your experience and how that helps add value and gets you better. That's the way you need to do it. I mean, the fact that you are a scientist, right? You're a chemist. Obviously, you've done a lot of research. You've actually done the work, right? I'm sure you've evaluated and you've done studies and other things. All of that stuff is valuable. So it's the things that you've done. So the research that you've done, there's ways you go about it. There's methods and practices. You've learned that. That's a skill. That's something you can advertise. And then all of the other people that come from wherever they come from, they've done those things too. Okay, I understand that. But you have that as well. So that's part of your story. And now, can you find out, is there something unique about the way that you researched, surveyed, gathered the data, analyzed it, and so forth, which is all the same activities that somebody else would do. As an example, and we just got done with me, so we were talking about the way in which I would pitch my services to a prospective client who wanted to enlist us for our recruitment services. And one of the things that I would say is, we're a search firm just like everybody else, right? You ask us for a person, we go out and we find that person, we bring the person back to you, right? Everybody does that. Neutralize it, get it out of the way. But here's what makes us different. And then the story's told. And here's what happens behind the scenes, lifting up the covers that nobody does. And do you know how I know nobody does this? Because every time I pitch this to somebody, they tell me they've never seen anything like it. I know that, right? And I'm going to tell you why this is unique, why this works, and why it's incredibly potent in my hands and no one else's. So that's my story. So the way you research, the way you analyze, the discoveries you've made, and so can be unique, even though everybody else does it. But then you have to add in the fact that your location has introduced things to you that no one else could have seen unless they were an African scientist. That's what you got to do. Think about it that way. Your story. And again, in my leadership program, the last session we just did was on personal branding. And part of what I just shared with you are things that you need to think about when you brand yourself. So it's not just branding yourself online and the way you write articles and what your social media platform looks like. It's about how you tell your story. That's your brand. As well, how you network is your brand. Who you communicate with online and offline is your brand, and so on. This is a great question, fantastic question, and I think I broadened that to the bigger, to the bigger picture that where a lot of people can benefit from. You all need that, so I hope that helped.